Love him or hate him, U2 had a big impact on the music world. The Edge really created a unique guitar tone that's filled with delays and cool effects that filled out their songs. Today we're going to talk about how to sound like the Edge. If you want to sound like the Edge, you have to use delay. There's no choice here. It's a massive part of his sound. So he typically used an Electro Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man and a Korg SDD 3000. Usually for those, get them dialed in, make sure they're quite present, and you'll be good to go. For the guitars, he's seen using a ton of guitars, so whatever you got will be just fine. And for amps, he likes to use Vox amps for the most part, typically an AC30, but you will see him sometimes use a Fender amp, but I personally think the Vox sounds a little bit closer to him. He also used these blue Herdim nylon picks. They're 1.1 millimeters, and he held them upside down, so that kind of scrapey part on the top of the nylon pick was hitting the strings. I personally don't love playing with that side, but if you want to be authentic, you go ahead and do that. I'm going to play with the pick the standard way. With his delay sound, you'll want to make sure it's quite present, and I actually am using two different delay sounds set at two different tempos to achieve this U2 sound. So if I play my note, you'll hear that the delay starts to elongate it, and he typically likes to pick notes over and over again, so the delay starts cycling on itself. So you'll start to hear a little bit of that here if I do this. With this delay, let me play one single note so you can hear what the delay is doing, and then I'll turn it off so you can hear it without. And here's the same note without delay. You can really hear the character that the delay will add. So let's jump into a few of my favorite U2 licks, and let's check them out. The first tune I'm going to show you today is Vertigo. This uses primarily power chords, and there's some cool sliding that he does with those power chords. So you'll see he starts with a D power chord, and he slides into an E power chord. So you're going to hit the D, slide into the E, and then hit the E power chord again. That's the real secret to this riff, and you'll do that twice in a row. And then the last one, you're going to do the same slide, but just don't re-pick it again. Then, to finish it off, he's going to go down to an A power chord, so that's 5 and 7, and then he plays that power chord 3 times, then goes down a fret, then down a fret. Let's put this together. The next riff I'm going to show you is Where the Streets Have No Name. This is a prime example of where the delay really adds so much to this riff. If we didn't have the delay on, the riff would sound really dull and boring, but the delay really fills it in. But I'm going to show it to you first without the delay, and then we'll add the delay in, and then you can hear how things change. So this riff is going to start with a bar chord on the 10th fret. You're just going to bar strings 1 and 2, and then you're going to kind of switch on the 3rd string between the 12th fret and then the 11th fret. He kind of goes between both. So we're going to hit the 1st string, 2nd string, and then the 3rd string. We're going to go 12, 11, 12. And then we work our way back up to the 2nd string. And that's all that happens. You want everything to kind of ring out as much as possible. The delay is really going to help with that. Let's just do it a couple times without the delay on, and then I'll turn it on, and we'll hear how much different it sounds. So that's without the delay on. You can hear it doesn't quite have the same sound. Let's turn on a delay setting. You can use whatever's on your amp, or if you have a delay pedal, and see if we can copy the sound that's on the recording. Let's hear how it sounds now. You can also palm mute this to really accentuate the delay. Let's hear how this sounds. The next riff I'm going to show you is Sunday Bloody Sunday. It's worth noting in this one that the edge is detuned down a half step in the original recording. I'm just going to play it in standard tuning. This is another prime example of where you can have some delay to help fill it in. It's not as intense as Where the Streets Have No Name, but it's still really present in the sound. Let's learn the riff first without any delay on so we can hear the sound clearly. He's going to go through 3 different chords. So he's going to go through a B minor triad. So that's going to be the 2nd fret on the 1st string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and the 4th fret on the 3rd string. And then the 2nd chord is going to be basically your D chord, but we're going to bar it with our pointer finger. You could play your normal D if you wanted. I just find this is easier to come to from the B minor. So we've got our 2, 3, 2. And then the last one is really easy. It's going to be the open 1st string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and the open 3rd string. The real kicker of this is the pattern that he's doing with the picking hand. So on the B minor chord, he's going to go strings 3, 2, 1, 2. Same thing on the D chord. And then on the final chord, we're going to do the same pattern, but there's a little bit of a rhythmic switch the second time you go through it. So he goes. So we have a little bit of a push on that second time around on that final chord. Let's put the whole thing together. Let's do it again, but with some delay on this time. The next one I'm going to show you is Pride in the Name of Love. This is a really fun one, and I'm going to show you the first intro part using harmonics and then the really cool chord progression he does. This is another one where you want that delay to be really loud as well. I'm just going to leave it on the whole time. I think you'll pick up the lick pretty easily on this one. It starts off with harmonics. We're going to do a harmonic on the 12th fret of strings 1 and 2, and we're just going to hit them both at the same time. And then we're going to hit the harmonics on the 7th fret of strings 4 and 5, and then the harmonics on strings 3 and 4 on the 7th fret. So let's put that together. And we're going to do that 2 times through. And then we're going to go into the chord section. So the 3 chords that he's going to use is a B power chord, but he's going to play it up here. So we have the 9th fret of the 4th string, 11th fret of the 3rd string, 12th fret of the 2nd string. The next chord, we're going to bar our pointer finger and then add our middle finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. So we're barring 9, middle finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And then the 3rd chord he's going to do is he's kind of the same shape, you just add your ring finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. So what he does to beef that up is add in some little embellishments on each of the chords. So after he strums this B power chord, he's going to take his ring finger off and back on. So we've got... And then we do the same thing again. Go to the next chord, and we're going to take our middle finger off and on. And then we're going to go to the 3rd chord. When we add in our ring finger, we're going to move our middle finger off and on just like the 2nd chord. It's a little bit of an awkward movement, but just try to keep it really close to the fretboard. So let's put the whole thing together. To fill it in, you're just gonna add in some strumming. I don't like to overthink these too much. I just like keep my hand rocking the whole time. Let's try it with the delay on with the constant strumming. Let's hear how it sounds. The next tune I'm going to show you is Beautiful Day. This one's a really simple 4-chord tune, but it's really fun to get the distortion on and really rock out on this. He's going to use all power chords, and he's going to stay on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. This is going to start with an A power chord on the 5th fret, go to a B power chord on the 7th fret, up to a D power chord on the 10th fret, and then down to a G power chord on the 3rd fret. And then to finish it off, you're going to go back to D, which is the 10th fret, and then to A, which is on the 5th fret. So let's put this together, and then we'll talk about the strum pattern in a second. So we've got A, B, D, G, D to A. So the strum pattern for Beautiful Day is when it really gets interesting. On the A, B, and the D chord, we're actually going to strum them just 3 times each. So we're going to kind of have this kind of weird push on each chord, and then we're going to land on the G chord. And then after that G chord, we're going to fill it out until the next downbeat, which will go back to the D chord and then the A chord on beat 4. It's a really odd pattern, but really fun once you get it. I'd recommend putting the song on and playing along with the band to get this rhythm. But let's give it a try. The next one I'm going to teach you is a riff called I Will Follow. This one's really cool because he uses the open first string alongside of notes on the 2nd string. It's a really cool riff. We're going to hit the first note with the 12th fret on the 2nd string 8 times, and then we're going to go down to the 10th fret and we're going to add in those stabs on the 12th fret of the 1st string. So let's give that a try. Now on the 2nd time through, he's actually going to change it just a little bit. We start the same way and then go up to those same stabs on the 12th fret, but we're going to actually resolve it to the 10th fret of the 1st string. So we have 10 and 10 to finish off the 2nd time through the lick. It'll sound like this starting on the 2nd time. So let's put both times together. It always goes one right into the next. Let's hear how they sound. This riff is one of my favorite ones by U2, and it's not a super well-known song by them, but I think it's such a fun guitar riff. This is The Fly. And he's basically going to use the open 6th string and then the 7th fret on the 5th string going to the 5th fret on the 5th string. It's a really straightforward riff, but super fun to play. So you're going to start with a low open E string, and then you're going to go to the 7th fret of the 5th string. And you're going to have kind of a funny rhythm. Again, I'd recommend just going into, listen to the recording to catch this rhythm. But he goes. And then he resolves it down to the 5th fret. So. To add add some extra spice to this riff, I like to start muting things and getting muted strums in between. You may have seen my right hand was very active in between the notes. It gives a little bit more feeling to it. And if you don't want to do that, that's totally optional. That's a much more advanced way to approach this riff, but really fun if you want to give it a try. So if you take a look at my left hand, you'll see that my thumb kind of comes up to mute that 6th string, and I get really lazy with my remaining fingers, so everything mutes except for the one note that I'm hitting, and this is all going to happen while you're hitting the 7th fret of the 5th string. I'm going to use my ring finger. If you wanted to jump to your pointer finger, that's totally fine. You see, while I have this down, if I strummed all the strings, you'll hear that everything else is muted. And I find using that really helpful to get some more energy into my lines. I'll do it without and then with, and see if you can hear the difference. Now with those extra notes. A bonus of playing that way is that sometimes you will get extra harmonics or extra notes ringing out that sound really cool, especially in really great rock riffs like this one. So there are 7 awesome U2 riffs that I really love. I know they have a really huge catalog of really great guitar riffs, and there's some that I definitely left out and that may be your favorites. Well, comment below and let me know which ones you love. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.